Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cornbread and Roses. I'm your friendly neighborhood organizer, Austin, and I'm here tonight with Jason.
Hello, comrades.
And yeah, it's good to be here. School's almost starting. Sure, those parents out there are trying to figure out last little pickups and needs. And I swear, how do they need a new backpack every year? Uh, I don't get it, but here we are buying a new backpack all the same. And yeah, we're gonna do some funny stuff, some memes, some media. Got a conspiracy of the week, not conspiracy theory of the week, with Newsmax. Uh, we'll do this week in socialist history and some articles. We'll talk update about Jabari Peoples and his family's situation and struggles, and SNAP benefits, a little bit of ICE happening in Alabama, and bodily autonomy for folks regarding abortion rights. So yeah. Oh, and we'll talk a little bit about the rage against the regime that took place across the country, and yeah, that's what's going on tonight. How you doing, Jay?
I'm doing pretty good. I don't have to worry about. I don't have any kids, so I don't have to worry about going back to school or any of that stuff. It's just another day for me.
Yeah, you got to watch some buses though. You know,
Yeah, I
in the
work from
morning.
home, so I don't even have to.
Fair enough.
I don't even have to leave my house.
Well, cheers to that. Cheers to working from home. Mm.
I have a pretty. I
Oh,
have a pretty sheltered life.
which yeah, shelter is good. So yeah, we are gonna kick it off with some memes. Let me find that share button, figure out what's going on with it. And where are you? Where are you? No, you trying to mess me up. Oh, hello. I love Stray Kids. I'm so happy you're here. So yeah, let's see here. If I can find where to start. I know, kiddo. So yeah, we're starting with this little guy. Map of Alabama as drawn by somebody from Huntsville. Uh, we'll zoom in a little bit. We got industry and music over in the shoals, and we got rockets right down the road. The mountains. It's a little incomplete. There's more mountains. City, the only city in Alabama, Birmingham. We got it says forest out here, but it really should say woods, and it says more woods down here in Montgomery. Politics. I do not. We got football. Tuscaloosa. We got football over it. I don't know why they put football though. Shouldn't say much out there, to be honest. Roll Tide, y'all. The actual Mardi Gras, the first Mardi Gras, and down there, our lovely beach. So, oh, let's not forget NASCAR. That light lavender color. Oh, I almost missed that. So yeah, a little map of Alabama going. Let's reset that. A classic from 2014. CIA uncovers Chinese plot to just sit back and enjoy the collapse of the United States. Yeah. Recent photo of CPC. Hey, they got it right. CPC President Xi Jinping actively engaged in the aggressive observation of American decay. Hey, hey,
Hello,
we
hello.
got a lot. We got a lot of fans tonight, don't we?
Yep.
Look at that. Oh, come on.
There's so many more productive things you could be doing right now than listening to us. So we appreciate it.
Yeah. But it is a Sunday night, not in football season in Alabama. So not too much more you could be doing. But yeah,
Fair enough.
courtesy of our own Jason here, my FBI agent, when I unlock my phone in the morning. So the nightmare begins again with a is he smoking a Newport? I don't think that's a Newport, but
I don't know. I can't tell cigarette brands by looking at them.
I think that's a Marlboro. I'm pretty sure. I don't see the classic Newport green line right there. With a sad little kitty agent. Ah, with everything going on, you knew you were gonna see it. The gang of pedophiles. And thank you, Puerto Rico Bell. I think I pronounced that correct. Really like this one. My body is a machine that turns catalytic converters on ICE vehicles into revenue.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like
you gotta
that one.
have you gotta have a side hustle nowadays.
Exactly.
Got to.
Got to bring in that extra rent money.
For real, for real. Uh Classic format. This is fine, but Americans living under decades of neoliberalism. This is communism. Yep. Yep. It's funny how they are like, you know, you say something about anything and about what's going on in the country and say, "Oh, that's communism." It's like, man, you need about 8.4 billion people to have communism, for one thing. For another, uh, we're in a capitalist economy. I love the style on this. There's some updated Scooby Doo action going on. If Scooby Doo taught us one thing, it's that the real monsters are landowners and rich people. Ain't that it's always a real estate deal in those shows, ain't it?
Right.
So they did well with that. Oh, we got American teenagers and Russian teenagers going at it, being cheered on by Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon. Uh, they do, they do enjoy working class infight. They sure do. We got Jim here. Yes, U.S. imperialism is bad, but it doesn't mean you have to support oppressive governments that use the aesthetics of socialism to hide their atrocities.
I think that's the truth.
On point, Jim.
Yep.
Yep.
Jim from the office. I
I
never
don't
saw
think
that
we've had
show.
a good government yet. No, it's hey, watch them both. You got the British version, you got the American version, but then you got all the offshoots. Uh, they're the Parks and Recreation, and I think does Elementary maybe follow that format a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I haven't watched Elementary. I heard it's good. The star is also like the writer, I think, and she was also a teacher, I think. So
Ah,
yeah. So uh this is a little hard to read. A little hard to read. I'll zoom in for a second. It is felt that the FBI document, it is felt that the value of the publication could be enhanced and reach wider circulation if it were not so political or to be tied to a dogma such as the line of Mao or Che Guevara. It is believed that these views could be expressed, but the publisher and the writers should be strictly anarchist. The anarchist position could take any direction, such as an attack on Vietnam policies, as well as an attack on the Soviets in Czechoslovakia. It is believed that the anarchist point of view is the most disruptive element in the new left and should be capitalized on in the most confusing ways. It is felt that the newsletter should also cover vigorously such aspects of the new left as underground sex, dope, humor, and so on. These items undoubtedly would increase reader interest at the same time offending those who monitor the activities of these papers. Uh,
So what is this from? The
uh,
FBI put out a leftist.
COINTELPRO.
Yeah, COINTELPRO. So the FBI is putting out leftist newsletters featuring anarchism and sex and drugs.
Yes. So yeah, and if you are you familiar with the New Left movement in the 70s?
Vaguely.
Yeah, I'm kind of vaguely aware of it too. But as New Left rose up, the feminism movement, among other things, and like they were like the feminist movement was co-opted, like Gloria Steinem, CIA agent, and there's just plenty of infiltration in these movements during the 60s and 70s. Of course, you saw like the letters to MLK to kill himself, and
Oh yeah.
assassinations of movement leaders by cops and stuff like that. Like,
Fred Hampton.
ha- yeah. So, mm, the Nation of Islam assassinating Malcolm X. Like, it's just so leftist infighting. Don't do it. Uh, where we go? Yeah. As a matter of fact, leftists be like, let's split up, gang.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Um, something
I
to
made the set.
read to your dogs at night. Yeah. How to talk to your dog about homosexual communism. Uh, you know, uh, the I first learned about homosexuality from my dog actually when she took she would just go around humping girl dog, boy dogs, whatever. So that's when I figured out that like you know, what the hell how what's a dog being groomed? Who's grooming a dog? You know what I'm saying?
Okay then.
Well, I guess a dog. I guess a dog groomer would be grooming a dog, but yeah, yeah. That's how I learned about homosexuality. I saw my dog, my girl dog, humping a boy dog, and I was like, well, I guess she's gay or something. That's what that is. Anyway,
Alrighty then.
every summer, fate chooses a CEO for the sacrifice. That's the ritual. Yeah, and we got our little Coldplay CEO, HR folks, Luigi, the ill-fated Titan submarine, and our orcas. I think our orcas are had some activity this summer. So but yeah, I think also courtesy of you. Things we're bringing back in the 2020s: flappers, Art Deco, propaganda of the deed, the Charleston. Yeah, is
We
that the
should bring back
Luxembourg
propaganda of the
theory?
deed.
Huh?
We should bring back propaganda of the deed. We should make that great again.
I mean, we got enough propaganda, don't we? Yeah. And our last little meme media funny of the week, Bernie just isn't electable. Domino theory down to Florida concentration camp surrounded by alligators. Yep. And here we are, folks. And we're live. We're locked in. We're rolling. And should we hit up the conspiracy of the week, or should we do socialism this week in socialism, socialist history first?
I don't know. What are you feeling?
Let's do the socialist history. Let's
Sounds
do
good.
that real quick. So we got August 3rd. That's today. Uh, oh. Let me be. Let me do this much slicker. We got August 3rd, 1936. Jesse Owens wins the 100-meter dash at the Berlin Olympics. So yeah, and shout out Jesse Owens from Oakville, Alabama. Yeah, but Jesse Owens famously beat the Nazis, uh, and really put a little dent in that whole master race bullshit. Uh, but yeah, and you see the plethora of wins that he did in his personal best 6.09, 100 yard 9.3, 100 meters at 10.2, 200 at 20.7. I mean, these are still incredibly fast times. And this is all 1936. But it's really originally known as JC. My granddad, he was known as uh, JW. Like, he didn't have a first name either. Like, was the youngest of 10, three girls and seven boys, born to Henry Cleveland Owens, a sharecropper, and Mary Emma Fitzgerald in Oakville, Alabama on September 12th, 1913. He was the grandson of a slave. At the age of 9, him and his family moved to Cleveland for better opportunities as part of the Great Migration, when 1.6 million African Americans left the segregated and rural South for the urban and industrial North. Here asked him to enter in her roll book. He said, JC, but because of his strong Southern accent, she thought he said Jesse. Uh, Name stuck, and he was known as Jesse Owens for the rest of his life. So yeah, uh, and there's a uh, museum down the road for Mr. Owens. If you'd like to check that out, I think it's on I-65, down between Huntsville and Birmingham. So yeah, on August 4th, the French National Assembly abolishes feudalism in the French Revolution in 1789. We got a little article about that here. The abolition of the feudal, or this is a new word to me, system unfolded on August 4th, 1789, during a session of the National Assembly that famously went long into the night. The dismantling of feudalism was reportedly inspired by a report on the misery and disorder prevailing in the provinces. The report declares that letters from all the provinces indicate that property of all kinds is a prey to the most criminal violence. On all sides, chateaux are being destroyed and farms abandoned to pillage. The taxes, the feudal dues, all are extinct. The laws are without force and the magistrate without authority. With the hope of pacifying and encouraging the people, the assembly, in a fervor of enthusiasm and excitement, resolved to abolish many of the ancient abuses. The document here below is the revised decree completed a week later. You can check that out on alphahistory.com, only for alpha male, but they don't do ID checks yet. So on the 5th, we have, oh, I didn't bring this up. Damn it! Hold on. On the 5th of August, Nelson Mandela imprisoned. And I think we've mentioned Mr. Mandela before. Uh, there we go. But why did go to prison? How long was he there? We know he became president of South Africa in the 90s, won the Nobel Peace Prize, was actually on the terrorist watch list until around, I want to say like 2012, something like that. But why did he go to prison? Mandela, then a lawyer, joined the African National Congress in 1944. The political party and movement fought for an end to apartheid in South Africa. Uh, in 56, he and 156 others went on trial for treason. Ultimately, they were found not guilty. Despite attempting peaceful means of protest, the killing of 69 people by police during the 1960 rally, now known as the Sharpeville Massacre, led to a serious decline in relations with the National Party, then running the South African government. In April that year, the ANC was outlawed and subsequently formed a military unit, Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear the Nation. In 61, Mandela organized a general strike against the government for whom they had no right to vote under the oppressive laws of apartheid, which was illegal. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and he lived as an outlaw. It was the following year that Mandela left Africa in order to attend the conference of the Pan-African Freedom Movement in the capital of Ethiopia. However, the leaving of South Africa without permission was illegal too. Ain't this fun? Um, on returning to South Africa, he was arrested for leaving without a permit and inciting workers to strike. He faced more charges of sabotage. He faced the death penalty. During the trial known as the Rivonia trial, he gave a poignant speech saying he was ready to die for the cause. Unforgettably, Mandela said, I have fought against white domination and I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunities. So, yeah, arrested August 5th, 1962. On the 6th, we have the Hiroshima. And then 3 days later was the bombing of Nagasaki. And yeah, a terrible mistake. And something interesting that I learned reading through history, I think there's 10 or 15 like 4-star generals and admirals that advised Truman on this, and all but one of them said this was a bad idea and inhumane. So you had battle hardened, World War I, World War II admirals and generals that were against this, which I thought was an interesting thing considering how things are today. We've got Shirley Flynn, was born in 1890 and was an American labor leader, feminist, and communist activist. In the early years, she was an organizer for the Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW, the Wobblies. During World War I, she founded the Workers' Defense Union to advocate for anyone arrested and imprisoned for violating the Espionage Act while championing the cause of labor. 1920, she helped found the American Civil Liberties Union. She joined the Communist Party USA in 36 during the Popular Front period and became one of its most recognized and beloved leaders. In 40, in a highly controversial move, the ACLU expelled her from its executive committee because she was a communist, despite her reputation as a longtime advocate of free speech. She was elected the first woman chair of the party in 1961. After her passport was revoked because of her party membership, she appealed successfully for its reinstatement. She died during the Union, where she was accorded a state funeral with processions in Red Square attended by more than 25,000 people. On the 8th, the Quit India movement was founded in 1942 during World War II. After the British failed to secure Indian support for the British war effort with the Cripps mission, Gandhi made a call to do or die in his Quit India speech delivered in Bombay on 8 August 42 at the Gowalia Tank Maiden. Viceroy Linlithgow described the movement as by far the most serious rebellion since 1857. Yeah. And then, last but not least, we have the South African women march against apartheid passed laws. This is National Women's Day. The day commemorated a march of 20,000 women of all races staged a march on the Union buildings and proposed amendments to the Urban Areas Act of 1950, commonly referred to as the Pass Laws. The march was led by Lillian Ngoyi, Helen Joseph, Rahima Musa, and Sophia Williams. Other participants include Frances Baird, a statue of whom was unveiled by Northern Cape Premier Hazel Jenkins in Kimberley on National Women's Day in 2009. The women left 14,000 petitions at the office doors of Prime Minister J.G. Strijdom. The women stood silent for 30 minutes and then started singing a protest song that was comprised in honor of the occasion. I'm going to mess this up. Watint Abafazi Wahint Imbokoro. Now you have touched the women, you have struck a rock. In the years since, the phrase or its last incarnation, you strike a woman, you strike a rock, has come to represent women's courage and strength in South Africa. And yeah, that's this week in socialist history. You got anything, Jay? No, Corey, he wasn't a socialist, but he was he did beat up some Nazis in a metaphorical manner. So, well, but yeah.
So I got a couple things. So
Right.
August the 3rd is the date that Christopher Columbus set sail from Palos, Spain with his 3 ships, Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, beginning colonialism and genocide in the eastern or in North America and in the Bahamas. He landed in the Bahamas, where every year on Columbus Day, or on the Indigenous Peoples Day rather, I make a point of reading the first chapter of Howard Zinn's The People's History of the United States, which documents Columbus's brutality in the New World. And I recommend other people do the same.
Yeah, that's an excellent book. If you haven't gotten a chance to read it, I've gotten a chance to read it once, but I like that tradition, Jay. I like that tradition you have.
Yeah, I make a point to read that first chapter and, familiarize myself with other Indigenous issues as I can. I try to do that year round. But, yeah, I think it's important to remind ourselves what a POS Columbus was. And as we've spoken on the show before, when I was in high school, I had to do a report about a country, and I was randomly assigned Jamaica, and so I had to write this big report about Jamaica. And I've had a soft spot for Jamaica ever since, because I just happen to know some things about it. So there's a couple of Jamaica-related anniversaries today. August the 1st was the day in 1838 that slavery was abolished in Jamaica.
Ooh, 1838. Okay.
1838, yeah, 30 years before America did, and without a civil war. And if I remember correctly, August the 6th in 1962 was the day that they became independent of the British Empire. So after British and Spanish rule, they became independent. So they were still a British colony up until the 1960s. And then after the 60s, after World War II, of course, Britain couldn't hold on to its empire any longer. thankfully, and a whole bunch of countries won their independence. So Jamaican Independence Day is coming up, and the anniversary of the abolition of slavery in Jamaica was the first. So I don't know why I've had this soft spot for Jamaica ever since. It's a fascinating history. It's a really interesting country. I've only been there once, and I hope to go back and spend a little bit more time. I was there for
I
a
had
day.
only a day.
Yeah, only a day.
I had a couple buddies in the army that were from Jamaica. They were awesome. Jamaican food ever. You should eat some. It's good. And yeah, been there, but by all I've ever seen of it, it looks like a beautiful place. Very beautiful place.
There used to be a Jamaican joint in Huntsville. I don't know if it's still there. It was on Jordan Lane.
I think I think there is still. I think I've eaten there, as a matter of fact. That's the last time I've had Jamaican food. I think it was next to a gas station.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Anyway,
I mean,
I've had this
get
weird
it all.
attachment to Jamaica of all countries in the world. I've had this weird attachment to Jamaica since high school because I had to write that paper about the history of a country.
Well, please tell me you got to eat jerk chicken before you became vegan.
I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay, all right. Whew, that was a
I've
close
eaten,
one.
yeah, I've eaten most things.
Oh, like Chris saying there are some fire Jamaican spots in town. So yeah, we need to take this show on the road and do a live cast at a from a restaurant while we talk about socialism and suck on chicken bones.
There you go. Well, you can have the chicken bones.
You can have the rice, but I want some rice too. But yeah. So is that all for this week in socialism?
I think that's all I had.
All right. So all socialist history, socialist history. All right. Okay. So not a conspiracy theory this week. I need to get back to doing a conspiracy theory a little bit. I think I've done a couple straight conspiracy. Yeah. Uh oh, Corey's been to Jamaica. Okay. Right on. Uh so conspiracy. Ooh, I don't even know how to present this, but I'm gonna give it a go. I look at businessman Vadim Shulman, who is a significant investor in the pro Trump right wing media outlet Newsmax. So that's him right here. He's a Ukrainian Jewish fella, which I only mentioned the Jewish part because there's more stuff. But yeah, he's a billionaire from Ukraine. Newsmax, if you don't know, is now the fourth largest uh, news network in the country, uh, and it's gone public as well. It's on the stock exchange, and it was founded in '89 or '98 by Christopher Reddy, and who is a friend of Trump. Earlier this month, Trump Media and Technology Group announced the launch of Truth Plus social media apps globally, and they are making Newsmax as well global. Um, this is a pretty long article, and we got other things to get to go through every little bit, but yeah. Let's see here. This Schulman guy, he started like a genetic, looked like a genetic related medical company. Um, he's involved with embezzlement with the Ukrainian Privat Bank. Uh, the partner who is under arrest in Ukraine on a contract killing. Um, there's other billionaires involved, including Thomas Peterfy, Qatari Sheikh Solomon bin Jassim Al Thani, and the Ukrainian oligarch Vadim Shulman, who we are talking about. Goes on. Where's some other? Yeah, the Newsmax investment was made through Equatoria Enterprise, which uh, has links to the Trump family business. For several decades, Shulman worked with other Ukrainian oligarchs, Kolomoisky and Bogolyubov. I hope I hope I'm butchering these oligarchs' names. Um, at one point, all three of them
Bogoliubov,
were fighting.
lover of
Yeah.
God.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yep.
They were fighting over $500 million. They had loaned each other money. Most of their deals went through the Privat Bank, which got later nationalized after 5.5 billion was missing. And I'm gonna skip some of this because there's a couple other points I want to bring up. Let's see here. Where is it? Yeah, this is Pathway Genomics. Uh, and he actually had former Joint Chief of Staff Peter Pace was on the board for him. They appear now inactive. So I'm not sure exactly what they did, but I'm guessing it ain't too good. Um, and we keep looking here. It goes in more on that. It talks about the Shulman's Equatoria Enterprises and his shares of Newsmax. And we get into his lawyer down here, a guy named Dennis Hawk, who also has an interest in history. And served uh, he served as corporate filing for Shulman on various things, and used the address of a mansion that was bought by Shulman. And they got a loan from Boffel, later renamed Axos Bank, which provided over 500 million in financing to Donald Trump in the last few years. Sold the house for 40 million, and says he is a citizen of Israel and a resident, not allowed to come into the United States. He was paying this Hawk fella $10,000 a month plus another 100,000 to take care of staff and expenses. Then he sued Hawk, and it goes on. And Hawk is also an officer in multiple companies with a guy named Michael Liberty and his wife Brittany, and another lawyer, Anthony Fratian. Hawk served as the lawyer for this Liberty couple here, which got into preschool. I read some of this story about these two preschools going at it in LA. But last year, main publication in the county reported that in 2024, Donald Jr. Bought hunting land Austin Theriault's family. The land was purchased by the company Trump Timberland and Wildlife Management LLC, and the officers are Donald Trump, Anthony Fratian and George Liberty, and goes on and on. Uh, Hawk also worked for Rights Corp, which is a uh, copyright strike company, and also Thumbs Up, where Trump Jr. is invested. Uh, I mean, the orgy of this stuff is just mind boggling. You know what I mean? And yeah, I highly suggest this website, News Tracks. They got some good articles in here about things. But if you the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project. It's got Vadim Shulman in here, Ukrainian tycoon, who, since the fall of the Soviet Union, has developed a diverse business portfolio that spans mining, chemicals, energy, telecommunications, and associate of the fellows we mentioned before, Kolomoisky, and Bogolyubov. Uh, and but he's also the chair, one of the sitting committee members on the Euro Asian Jewish Congress, and we have a little blog here from their website. EAJC president thanks U.S. President Trump in Jerusalem Post statement. So he's also honest, and they issued a statement about bombing Iran, and that the Jewish people, worldwide citizens of Israel, are ready to walk that path with resilience, faith, and unwavering commitment to dialogue and justice. When the safety of the free world is at stake, even the Nobel Peace Prize falls short as a fitting recognition for the resolve and strength with which the President of the United States confronts the grave threat posed by the Iranian regime. So,
Yeah, you don't get the Peace Prize for dropping bombs. I'm sorry.
No, not yet. They might.
They did give it to Kissinger.
Maybe they make up something called the Obel Peace Prize, and they give, or the Ig Nobel Peace Prize, right?
There isn't. There is. I think there is an Ig Nobel Prize.
There sure is. So that's the conspiracy of the week. A Ukrainian Zionist has control, or not control, not total control, of the fourth largest media company in the country, and direct ties to the Trump family. So yeah. And hey, with that, we're into the news, folks. Record time. So yeah, where do we want to kick it off?
So I want to start, I guess, with the Rage Against the Regime protests. So you were there yesterday. How did it go?
Ooh, okay. So yeah, I was there. I showed up. We had a lot of volunteers, organizing staff. We had there. DSA was there. We had our medics, and the 5051 folks were there. I was originally supposed to be a legal observer, and then I was asked to change hats a little bit. So I got to give a speech and lead the march and be a chant caller. And I it always warms my heart doing these things. I know, we had, well, we probably had around 200 people, I think. The Rusk showed up, of course, and we pointed people to go from mobilizing and showing up. We pointed people to the tables and to different actions. The AI cameras being put on garbage trucks in the city, to some ice watch work, to support Palestine, and so we push people a couple and we got some good table visits and stuff like that. So we purposefully, got people to take that next step, right? To not just be showing up, but to connect to the work and the organizing work that's out there, right? So I thought it was very successful. I always want more people. And we're looking at uh, another coalition event for Labor Day to become. And let me see here. Let's see. Can I share this? Let me see. We got a little piece.
Oh, you're
What's
playing
that?
video.
Oh wait.
So what? So look now.
Happening right now. Protesters are gathering out in Big Spring Park for the Rage Against the Regime National Day of Action. You can see protesters there walking by. Our live shot next to the pond there, many of them carrying signs. Pretty fair turnout to that park. Protesters, some continuing to show up out there. Now, they are demanding an end to President Donald Trump's strict immigration enforcement. You can see some of those signs and some of his other policies from the Trump administration. That rally is, as you can see, featuring speakers, sidewalk protests, and a march as well. So if you are planning to head through downtown Huntsville tonight, just be aware that this protest is happening right now.
Look at that.
You played a video.
Yes.
That's a banner day.
So yeah, that's my summation of the Rage Against the Regime event here in Huntsville, and then they were taking place across the state and also across the nation. I haven't gotten any report backs on anything yet, but yeah, I've had a good time and was proud to be there. And we had excellent work from our volunteers. We had our medics, legal observers, the marshals, uh, the the main organizers. Like, it was well pulled off. Well, what are your thoughts, Jay?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that they were trying to direct people to local organizations and things like this, because I'm a little skeptical of the utility of these sorts of events, because it feels like it's mobilizing people without organizing them. And you get together, you hold up your little sign, you shout at the sky, and then you go home. And I just wonder, like, we've had decades and decades of that, and yet there's been very little change that comes as a result. So I've gotten a little bit down on protesting lately. Like, I deliberately didn't go to the protest yesterday because I thought, I'm tired of going to these protests and seeing nothing happen as a result of them.
Well, I like seeing your pretty face.
Oh,
So
well, my face isn't very pretty. I have a face for radio for sure.
don't cut yourself short. But no, your points are valid, extremely valid. And I would say that, like, I've tried to make it like imperative for me to what you're saying out there, right? Like, um to and I can't speak on other states, but I know in Alabama, the 5051 folks, like, we've hammered in meetings over and over about taking next steps and thinking ahead and talking about developing long-term strategies and things like that beyond and sort of decentralized from the national movement.
That's good, because my other concern is that people are going to burn out on doing these things, and they're going to think to themselves, "Well, I tried politics and it didn't work." But all they
Absolutely.
tried was this empty protesting ritual. So I think
Right.
it's good to try to get them into the next steps and say, "Okay, you got to join an org, and there's work to be done."
Yeah. And I during my speech I tried to you know, educate folks on some concepts that, you know, that they may or may not be familiar with, electoralism, but beyond that, you know, direct action, uh, mutual aid, community defense, and, you know, unions and co-ops, because, you know, we're still at like a 9% unionization rate, you know, what I'm in the States, somewhere around there. I think nationally we're almost at 11%, which is an increase in the past couple years. But, you know, I see these events, you see folks that show up for something for the first time, and, you know, you feel lost, because I know I have, when I first started showing up to this stuff. So I felt back in their shoes back when, you know what I mean? Like when I didn't know shit, even though I still don't know shit, uh, and try to use it as a way to also educate folks on new concepts that they're not familiar with, you know?
Sure. I wish we would had the foresight to record your speeches. You're a good speech giver. We should play them on the show.
Thank you. That, yeah. With our video troubles, we'll have to like really prepare for that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just like there was a TikTok debate on amongst the Democratic Senate candidates, hosted by Alabama Progress on Friday night, and I'd love to get the video and go over it next week, but we may not be able to play much video.
yeah. You know, if it seems like if I get it spooled up and watch it once, and it doesn't do some wacky thing like go to the next video and all that, but it seems if I watch it first, I can pretty much go wherever I need to go. But yeah, um, the bandwidth in this house between, I guarantee you, at least three of the kids are gaming right now, uh, plus this. So it does well, typically.
Under the
But
circumstances. Sure.
yeah,
That's good. I guess I feel a little bit better about the protest if it really was trying to lead people to organizations and trying to get them to take the next step. And there's an educational component with speeches and things like that. But I've just burned out on going to protests. I've been going to protests since the Iraq War days, and I should have learned my lesson then, because they had the Iraq War like we weren't even out there. So, like, we did absolutely nothing to stop the Iraq War, despite having the largest protests in the world at the time. And it just seems like I've seen so little payout come from these protests, but it's all people want to do. And when people think about getting involved in politics, they think about doing protests.
yeah,
I'm just sort of down on the whole enterprise.
there is definitely a deeper level, and a protest is just scratching the surface. Protests are a way to burn off some of that energy or whatever, but really, like, they need to be directed to the next steps for anything to really fundamentally happen, and I think Alabama is heading in the right direction on these things. I think uh, the organizers of these protests get it, because there are talks now about trying to get economic boycotts in the state going, which could lead to small level strikes in the next 6 months or so, which, building mutual aid in parallel with that to support even longer strikes, continuing unionization efforts. It's an attack on all fronts that we have to do. And we only have so much manpower, but we use that manpower to recruit more folks, educate more folks, show folks what, get them plugged into their passions because some people don't care about the voting stuff, and I get it. And some people don't care about the protests and stuff, like uh, the person I'm talking to right now. And
Right.
some people don't care about, uh, you know, uh, some people might not be in a position to be able to do mutual aid type work. It all depends on your skill set and stuff like that. And but I think we're getting there as a state. It's just so painfully slow, and we're so frustrated because we know things can get better. We know what the problem is. But yeah, love thy neighbor and eat the rich.
Yeah. I'm just saying, y'all call me when you're ready to put bricks through windows.
I will not be using any electronic communication lines, Jay.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. And I strictly mean that in Minecraft. In Minecraft.
In Minecraft,
In
my
Minecraft.
man, in
Throwing bricks through
Minecraft.
windows in Minecraft.
Hmm. But yeah, but if you look at the country writ large, there is a lot of good work going on. There's folks that are, following ICE. There's folks that are identifying ICE. There's,
Yeah, that's
you
all
know,
great work.
yeah, I saw this group Flare. They're out at the, was it the Heritage Foundation every week, putting the faces of those folks that work there on camera. They were at Steve Bannon's favorite place to eat the other day, and hey, there's folks keeping them, getting them to leave their hotel rooms in the middle of the night, like there's some good work going on.
For sure, for sure.
And
And I support all that.
yeah, and it'll just keep getting stronger as these material conditions collapse, as the fascists squeeze harder and harder. uh, More and more will slip through their fingers, because, as I like to say, when the working class fights, we win every time. But yeah, what else we got going on, Jay?
Well, there's some reports about the SNAP program that I wanted to talk about too. So, but before we do that, there were a couple of stories we covered last week that I kind of wanted to give quick updates on. So,
Okay.
Jabari Peoples, the teenager who was shot and killed by Homewood police last month, there have been a number of protests, and I think these kinds of protests are a little bit different because they're geared to be disruptive. Like they've been going to City Hall and disrupting normal city operations. They're trying to do sit-ins at businesses to try to affect the economics, and they called for a boycott of Homewood, which I think makes sense. So I think this is a little bit different than just going and shouting at the sky and holding up your little sign. So I
Yeah,
think
and
there's been a little. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's very reminiscent of the standing in power folks and the strategy and tactics that they employed as well.
Right. Exactly. So it seems like they're willing to be a little bit more disruptive and actually put the disobedience in civil disobedience. Like if there's no disobedience, then what you're doing is just a permitted rally, and the, I think it's of less utility. But in any event, so ALEA, the Alabama law enforcement agency, is concluding its investigation of the shooting. They're going to show the body cam footage to the family of Jabari Peoples on Wednesday. So there's no note about whether or not it will ever be released to the public, but at least the family will get to see it. And I have to feel like I'll say what I said last week. If this video were exonerating, they would have released it already.
Right.
So it must not be exonerating. And everything the family is saying is likely to be true. And we'll see what they say after they watch it on Wednesday. So that is kind of the update on the Jabari Peoples. issue.
right? And they are still calling for a boycott, economic boycott of Homewood.
Yes.
And there's also election. I believe this month there's elections in Homewood, and every position has, even though they're supposed to be nonpartisan, but there's at least one MAGA type running in the each position for mayor, and I think 4 different council seats. But they're well documented that on their Facebook and whatnot, on book burnings and uh, you know, fuck queer people and all that regular. But they also have folks running against them. So yeah,
Let's definitely pay attention to that. So
yeah. Go ahead.
The other story that I wanted to update people on was the death of KJ Starks. He was the 3-year-old boy who was heartbreakingly left in a hot car by the DHR worker who was supposed to transport him back to the daycare after she picked him up from a visit with his biological father. But instead, she went and ran a bunch of errands and forgot he was in the back of the car. And apparently, temperatures inside the vehicle reached 140 degrees, and so he did not survive. And it's a heartbreaking story. I mean, I've seen pictures of this little boy. He's, I mean, as cute as can be.
Yeah.
And so I am happy to be able to report that not only has the contract driver that did this, she is not only fired from her job, obviously, but she's been arrested and charged with leaving a child in a car, which is a Class B felony. 54-year-old Keela Stanford from the Birmingham area is her name. So I know on Friday night there was a little memorial service for KJ and like a balloon release and a candlelit vigil and that sort of thing. So the family says they're getting a lot of support from the community, which is good. But obviously, I mean, what can you say or do in a situation like this?
No. All right. It just makes you want to cry.
It does. It's a heartbreaking story. Just like the Jabari Peoples story is equally heartbreaking. This 18-year-old kid with his whole life ahead of him, aspiring to be a police officer, even shot and killed for maybe having a little bit of weed on him. That his family
that shit should be legal anyway.
Right. His family insists he didn't resist, and I mean, he's a college kid. Like, there's no reason to think that he's out here fighting the cops or that he had a gun on him. So,
but that's what they do when these things happen. They according to police, he was X, Y, and Z.
right.
And they get that out in the media and in the public before, before body cams release, before they craft their narrative. And once that narrative is like, first to the post, right? And once they get that narrative out there, it makes it harder to tear it back out, but it's a tactic that they use in order to avoid accountability consistently. And speaking of the state and police, Alabama in top 20 states for ICE arrests. So that's good to hear. We're in the top 20 and something, but ICE arrests are up 120% national. But Alabama made the top 20 with only a 1.7% increase, which not not happy about it, but 1.7% compared to Texas, which is leading with 23% increase.
Jeez.
And the immigrant population in Alabama is at about 4%. So, and it says that about 35% of the Alabama immigration population are undocumented, which only translates to about 1.5% of the state's total population.
So
So
a
if you
minuscule
look
number
at
of people.
yeah, so if you look at 1.7 and 1.5, I mean, I'm not happy, but it it's in line with population. You know what I mean? They say, and they're going, but of those undocumented folks, that 1.5%, right? Uh, Only about 7% of those folks, which uh, what's 7% of 1.5% of the population, you're looking at what 0.07% of the population. Uh, you know what I'm saying? With a criminal record or what have you. The vast majority of these folks, even though it's only 1.5% of the population, the vast majority of them are just working class people trying to, you know,
Doing what anybody
and
else would do, including you or I.
yeah, yeah, like, you know, people typically are decent people, you know, the scumbags and stuff like that. Like, it's a very small minority of people that, in my opinion, probably need a whole lot of medical help to and therapy to undo the issues, and also a living wage. I bet you a whole lot of crime issues would go even further down, even though we've had decades upon decades of crime lowering over the decades. Uh, I think that crime is at its lowest since the uh, I mean, I don't even probably that's have been counted. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it also mentions Alireza Durati. He was an Iranian student in Tuscaloosa who ended up in a concentration camp in Louisiana, and he ended up self-deporting to Iran. There's several students in Auburn and Troy have also been picked up by ICE in May, and ICE raids at construction sites, including one at Loxley Elementary in Baldwin County, um, and several raids with Mexican restaurants in Alabama. So yeah,
Bravely protecting us from dishwashers.
yeah,
Way
and
to go.
construction workers and farmers, and you know, just the worst. Oh God. Uh, so yeah, uh, and with
So
that, if you there's
1.5% of the population of Alabama. And they've also done studies,
yeah,
speaking of like crime. So they've done studies that show that immigrants commit crime at lower rates than native born people.
yep,
So I
and
mean,
they're the one, and they pay more taxes into the system than they take out, like through medical services or social security, because they're not eligible for those things. So
right,
they're
like
paying extra to be here.
right. Even though they're paying so I think I read somewhere, and the numbers may be old, but something like 2/3 of undocumented immigrants pay income taxes because the IRS will let you have a taxpayer number that you can
Yeah.
pay taxes through. So
Yep.
they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're paying for benefits they can't receive, including Social Security.
Yep. And not once after any of these owners of businesses that employ these undocumented, uh, illegal, yada, 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 you know, So
there's no such thing as an illegal person.
exactly, especially on stolen land. So, but yeah. So, did you want to talk about the voting or abortion rights?
Well, I kind of wanted to mention some things in SNAP. So there's been a couple of articles
Yeah.
about SNAP benefits and food banks. So I didn't know this, but Alabama is the number 10 in the country for dependents on SNAP. So about 15% of the population, which is about 752,000 people, use SNAP benefits. So that's about 1 in every 7 residents of Alabama. So, you can ask why so many, and of course it's because Alabama has a poverty rate of 15.6%. And as we talked about on this show, the actual, that's just the poverty level. When you actually include the number of people who are struggling to make ends meet, that number gets higher. It's the 6th poorest state in the entire nation. 1/5 of Alabama's children live in poverty, and an estimated 1 in 4 kids in the state face hunger. So these SNAP cuts that Trump has made are going to hit Alabama disproportionately. So this article I'm reading also says that 35% of SNAP recipients are in working families. So people who are working every day and still can't make ends meet. Because we live in a state where 1/3 of all jobs are low wage. So a lot of food banks are concerned that with the SNAP cuts, so with the changes to the SNAP program that Trump has made, the state will have to come up with an additional $172 million in order to keep the program going the way that it is now. And it's not clear where that money can or should come from. So these SNAP cuts are going to disproportionately fall on Alabama. Food banks are already struggling in the state. So there is the CEO of Feeding Alabama, Laura Lester, is quoted in an article that I'm looking at now, saying that they went from distributing 61 million pounds of food in 2019 to around 90 million pounds in 2024. And so that number is going to increase. So for every meal provided by a local food bank, the SNAP program provides 9 meals, and that 9 meals is going to drop. So the difference is going to have to be made up by food banks. And they're very concerned that they're not going to have enough food to feed the food insecure people in Alabama. So Community Food Bank of Central Alabama, which serves 12 counties in Central Alabama, and I'm reading from an article on AlabamaDailyNews.com, ALDailyNews.com, gave out 21 million meals last year, but the area's meal gap, which measures the number of meals food insecure households are missing, sits at 46.8 million meals. 46.8 million meals, according to the food bank. So they're not even halfway there in terms of meeting the food system. On top of all of this, the U.S. Department of Agriculture earlier this year, cut the local food purchase assistance cooperative agreement program. So that gave grants to get locally grown products to food banks. So that also affects the farmers who supplied the food for the program. So local farmers are getting less money. Local grocery stores are getting less money from SNAP. There's less food at the food banks, and the SNAP program is going to have a $192 million shortfall.
Mm.
So
It's a catastrophe, is one way to put it.
So Alabamans are going to go hungry, and
Even more hungry than they go now.
So on top of everything else we have to do, we have to try to volunteer and donate to these food banks as we can.
Yeah.
in order to try to meet.
We had a electoral meeting today, and that food was one of the things we talked about, and programs to help um, provide food. And we were talking about like Mom Donnie's plan up in New York to, I think, create 5 or 6 grocery stores. But relatedly, we're looking at these ICE arrests. Uh, the if you I've seen on social media fields of unharvested food just rotten. So like they are really finding each and every way to ruin and destroy every little thing that's been built up and made a little bit better over time. Um, you know, like they're
Yeah,
taking the money for the food, they're taking the workers for the food. They're It's just at every end they are trying to uh punish, because cruelty is the point with these fuckers, uh the working class people.
so yeah, if you're struggling to make ends meet and you depend on SNAP, or if you depend on your local food bank, it's going to be a lot harder to get help from them because of these changes that have been made. And yeah, it's like you're saying, they're cutting it on every end.
Yeah. I went to buy a head of lettuce a couple weeks ago, and the last time I looked at a head of lettuce, it was 89 cents, and this one was 250.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So, buckle up, folks. Buckle the fuck up.
So yeah, not only are we going to have vegetables rotting in the fields because of the workers, but local grocery stores are going to take a hit because they're dependent on the SNAP benefits too. Like they get a lot of money from SNAP. So there's going to be fewer local grocery stores as a result of all of this. It's going to be all these corporate chains.
Yep. Yep.
On
Walmart won't be going anywhere.
Right. On top of like people struggling at working a job and struggling to make ends meet and not being able to afford food in the richest country in the world.
Well,
It's quite horrifying.
yeah. They seems like they're asking for the wood chipper.
Asking for something.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
The
this country,
billionaires yearn for the wood chippers.
and I was reading today that by 2027, Elon Musk is expected to be the world's first trillionaire.
Oh, what 2 short years away. What a trendsetter.
Right.
Well, uh, I'm glad we have these little talks, Jay. I'm glad we have these little talks.
It's depressing. It's a bleak political situation right now. It really is. So, and it's even bleaker when you look at Alabama. Like, I as excited as I am about watching this Senate debate between these three candidates, the fact is that Steve Marshall is going to be our next senator from Alabama, and there's little we can do about it. Like, no matter how good Dakari Lariat or Kyle Sweetser or Mark Wheeler are, the chances that they overcome the R plus 50 nature of the state to become the senator is nil, unless they catch Steve Marshall chasing teenagers at the mall like they did for Roy Moore.
Oh, if he doesn't do that, he at least enables it, though. We will definitely return to the grand old pedophiles in a future broadcast, but there's plenty of evidence. I found one document with 1,500 different names of Republican pedophiles. And, as a matter of fact, I saw this week a not pedophilia, but a says Alabama man charged with murder, sexual torture. He was deemed fit to stand trial, but Kyle Luter, was charged in the killing of Derek Walls. But he is actually a campaign manager for where is it? Senator Tom Butler, who is retiring out in, I think, District 5, Alabama Senate District 5. So, yeah.
Wow. So just psychopaths from top to bottom.
Ain't that the truth?
It's a very bleak political situation here in Alabama, in particular, in America generally, but in Alabama particularly. And it's hard to know what to do. But I did see a quote that I really liked, and I think it might even be the name of a book. And it was called, or the quote goes, "You only get what you're organized to take."
Oh,
And I really like
Marissa, you're just in time.
Hi, Marissa.
Say that quote again. I like that. You're only organized.
You only get what you're organized to take.
That's right. That's right. And we have to look through all the bleakness and darkness and look at history and see what we've come from and where we can go. And yeah, I think we're getting there. I know we're getting there. As just my personal observations on the last several years that I've been doing this, all I've seen is growth. You know what I'm saying? And more solidarity and more education and more people standing up and more things happening. It's a slow process. And, but as things build, this will accelerate because that's the math of it. We just got to stick to it.
So it is the name of a book. I just DuckDuckGo'd it. So you only get what you're organized to take. Okay. Lessons from the Movement to End Poverty by Liz Thea Harris and Noam Sandweiss Back. So it's one of the nation's leading anti-poverty organizers and moral voices shares the largely untold story of the movement to end poverty, open to all and led by the poor themselves.
Now, I got the Poor People's Campaign for a Christmas present, but all these months later, I only got through. I'm at chapter 1 because I got so many damn books I'm reading.
I know.
But that sounds like another one to read.
Right. It just came out this year, in April of this year. So it sounds good. Certainly the title is great. I just encountered it on my internet wanderings, and the title of it stuck with me.
Wow. Speaking of Marshall, Alabama AG seeks crackdown on abortion shield law protections. Marshall urges Congress to override shield laws protecting out-of-state abortion access and criminalize abortion-related support. Look at this fucking Nazi. What kind of fucking haircut is that?
I don't even know. What's going on with his eyebrows?
What his little beady fucking eyes and his no lip mouth. He looks like what a butthole would look like writ large.
Well, he's a pretty bad guy, and he's going to be our next senator, so get used to that.
Where does he live?
I have no idea.
No. That is pertinent information that every Alabamian should know.
Let's
So in a
see.
letter to Congress, Marshall joined 15 other Republican attorneys urging Congress to override shield laws that protect people seeking facilitating out-of-state abortion care. Argues that the laws interfere with pro-life states' abilities to enforce their criminal laws and also violate constitutional provisions such as the full faith and credit clause and the extradition clause. Letter frames these shield laws as part of the legal conflict between states that criminalize abortion and those that protect access to it. When New York or California refuses to respect a criminal prosecution or civil judgment against an individual who is accused of violating the abortion laws of another state, they are refusing to give to that state's judicial proceedings.
That's absurd.
Yeah, because it cuts both ways, right? Yeah.
Right.
Back
States
to the
have the right
states'
to be
right.
conservative, but states don't have the right to do
Selective, yeah, selective states' rights.
right.
Because yeah. Oh, you see them, all the Democrats in Texas left.
I didn't see that. No.
Yeah, they all fled the state to avoid or to shut down the vote on the redistricting.
Oh, well, good for them.
Yeah.
So Marshall's been trying to prosecute people who provide funds for abortions and who transport people for abortions. So the Yellowhammer Fund actually shut down for several years because they were worried about being prosecuted. But they won a lawsuit where it was here we go. Judge Myron Thompson sided with the plaintiffs and blocked Marshall from prosecuting individuals or organizations that help others access lawful abortions in other states. Like, it is your right to travel to another state, to do anything else, to do things, even if they're normally illegal in Alabama. Like he's not prosecuting me because I went gambling a couple of weeks ago.
I was about to say gambling.
Drove all the way down to Biloxi and won $500 playing blackjack and craps. Can't do that in Alabama.
Yeah, we need you to be doing that twice a day, every day, to fund the left.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll gamble to fund the left. I got lucky. In the end, the house always wins. You got to quit while you're ahead. Like, once I was up, I quit.
But yeah, this is absolute Nazi bullshit, and this goes into to a point, right? We're talking about him running for Senate. Well, it's time for us to start backfilling some of these state level roles out there. And, I'm not the biggest fan of the Democrats. And I know you aren't either, especially as chair of the Green Party or up around here.
Right.
But they have all chairs filled for the first time in a while, is what it appears. So all 67 counties now have a chair operating the county level party.
I saw that.
So that's a big step. And as Marshall leaves the AG spot and like Butler retires and all these other things, and there's opportunity at the state level to just get these state laws changed. We mentioned Maryland Lands trying to who's going to bring a law on the books, try to bring a law on the books that allows Alabamians to vote directly for laws and change. So things are slowly pitching course, even here in Alabama. and
Well, we
there
can't just give
is
up, right?
opportunity. Right.
Even if the situation is hopeless, we still have to fight these people. They can't just win by default.
No.
And things can happen. You know, I never would have predicted that Doug Jones would have been the senator of Alabama, but he was for 4 years. So, you know, sometimes things can happen. And even without Democratic control of anything in the state, the Republicans are not immune to pressure. And I'm thinking specifically of the campaign to get Lee Gwathney out of the parole hearing, out of the parole board. Like, there were a lot of Republicans who were also complaining about her not granting parole to anybody. And there were several Republican legislators rather, who were questioning her and grilling her on the floor of the Alabama House and Senate. So, and I keep going back to Altrac too, the Alabama Trans Rights
Action Coalition.
Yeah. So they
I
have
pointed a couple people towards them today, as a matter of fact.
They're one of my heroes in the state because they have done great work at killing bad bills and delaying bad bills, even though this is probably one of the most hostile states to them and to their issues. But just by encouraging people to call their congressman, and and as Marissa says, we've been able to hold off their bill to jail librarians for 2 years now. So they're not completely immune to pressure. And fighting back using what you can do works.
Well, we went to the Huntsville City Council, and they went, they kicked the can down the road, but they didn't pass the AI camera, garbage truck, robot surveillance bullshit. So things can happen when people organize, because there is pressure that can be applied to folks. Like they get it. You know what I mean? There's psychological pressure that can be applied to people, because they think, oh, if all these people are showing up on this, and like, what bullshit am I stirring up here? Because a lot of folks don't want to be bothered with bullshit, and that includes politicians.
Well, we can't just let them win by default. We have to pull all the levers we can pull, and we have to take care of each other in the meantime.
Yep. And I think we got one more little thing to cover tonight. A report that the Alabama law strips voting rights from black citizens disproportionately. A new report shows black Alabamians face greater odds of losing or not regaining voting rights under state felony laws. Here's my shocked peek. A new report from Return My Vote, a nonprofit focused on restoring voting rights to Alabamians with felony convictions, reveals that Alabama's so-called moral turpitude law disproportionately disenfranchises black citizens and makes it harder for them to reclaim their right to vote. Findings based on a 3-year analysis of nearly 25,000 voting records are laid out in a new report titled Alabama's Moral Turpitude Law Disproportionately Strips Black Citizens of Their Voting Rights. Disparities are not just the result of over-policing or over-incarceration. Richard Fording, co-founder of Return My Vote, black Alabamians are both more likely to be stripped of their voting rights and less likely to get them back. That's a structural failure rooted in policy, not just circumstance. So yeah, I'm still waiting on a fair vote in this country, to be honest. And for the record, the vote, and I'm not even a felon.
So yeah, I think we should be realistic about what we can expect from electoralism in Alabama. But at the same time, there's this saying that goes like, if voting accomplished anything, they would make it illegal. Well, it must do something because it's always been illegal for somebody to vote. And they keep coming up with new ways to legalize, especially black votes. And so it must be doing something. And so it's like I said, we have to pull all the levers we can, and I think it's a very small cost to go to the polling place if you can every couple of years and pull the lever on top of everything else you're already doing.
Well, yeah, if they that's the thing is the structure work of our laws and system serves to protect, you know, the rich as well. You know, mostly the rich, right? We see them getting away with so much shit. And if they stopped with all of it, what they would have on their hands would be incredibly unmanageable, let's just say. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we have to keep chipping away at every little opportunity in different paths, different paradigms. I'm sure that's a 10-cent word we can use here, and attack on all fronts, like I said earlier. But while black citizens make up 20% voting age population, they account for 52% of those administratively disenfranchised.
Wow.
Yeah. And they are 50% less likely than their white counterparts to have their voting rights restored. And similar gaps were found between men and women. It's not an accident, it's an outcome, it's by design. The system is working as designed.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. And we got then came House Bill 100, passed in 2024, which dramatically widened the scope of disenfranchisement. The law made all inchoate felonies, including attempts, conspiracies, solicitations, disqualified, and it did so retroactively. While HB 100 went into effect after 2024, President and isn't reflected in the current data set, researchers warn it could dramatically expand disenfranchisement moving forward. I don't remember us talking about that bill, but then again, we talked about a lot of goddamn bills during the legislative session.
I don't recall it either, but I'm sure it would have come up on the list.
Yeah.
I hate to think that I missed one. I tried to be so diligent about covering all the bills that were important like that.
Yep. Oh, goodness. I just saw this. Conservative groups in Alabama led people to apply to Project 2025, leaked database shows. So, a recent leak of the executive branch applicant database, now hosted by nonprofit whistleblower DDO Secrets, has allowed APR to further organizations and individuals in Alabama that help prepare to carry out Project 2025 in the event Trump was reelected. Uh, it reported that the Alabama Policy Institute, the Eagle Forum, and Moms for Liberty were all Project 2025 coalition partners, spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation. And let's be clear, all these folks, they all have names and addresses. They all have places they eat. They all try to sleep. They all go out in public and all that good stuff. So thank you, DDO Secrets. So yeah, maybe we'll get more into that. Like the leader of the Eagle Forum Alabama, our executive director, Becky Garrettson. Uh, I'm surprised they got a woman in charge of that. I would have thought
That
they
was
would have kept all the women at Moms for Liberty.
the Eagle Forum. That was Phyllis Schlafly's thing, so it's traditionally been led by a woman.
Huh. Very interesting. But yeah.
She died
So maybe
recently.
we'll good. Uh so maybe we'll get into more of that next Sunday. I'm gonna drop now so we don't forget it. Uh but there are a lot of moving parts and we gotta move with them and be like water. We got anything else on the docket tonight, Jay?
I think that's all I wanted to cover. We covered the SNAP problems and the food bank problems that are coming up. We talked about Steve Marshall, and we talked about the protesting. That's all I had.
Huh? Uh I think that's about all I had. I'm gonna drop this one in the chat too, because it's always a long week. Uh, I do feel like I just did part of my research for the week though by finding those two little articles. So
There you go.
yeah, yay for me, yay for me. But yeah, I think that's all. There's, you mentioned civil disobedience. I don't have a date for it yet, but there is more civil disobedience training coming up, and we should have some more medic training coming up, and marshals training coming up, and legal. I don't know about legal observers, but we do need to get that rolling as well. We need some more hats, and hey, you want to be a chant caller? You can start just singing to yourself in the shower. So, but there are groups out there. I'd like to point out that this week will be the first the North Alabama area spokes council, which is a collection of like-minded organizations to strategize and work on taking action in formation collectively on objectives. So, like I said, Jay, things are moving in the right direction. You going to show up and represent the Green Party?
I'm going to try to, yeah.
All right. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. So, yeah, things are moving, things are shaking. Don't let these get you down, man. Like I know I know it can seem dark, but if you just email Cornbread and Roses and I'll talk you through it. All right. We appreciate everybody out there listening. Do all the things, like, comment, share, subscribe. Don't forget on Wednesdays we got Slop, where we look at international and national news and try to have a little fun as well. And yeah, we're all the parents out there, in good luck with school coming up and football season's on the way. uh, I'm definitely going to be trying to enjoy some of that. So yeah, we
And
appreciate
all the food,
everybody.
it'll be over before you know it, and you'll never have to think about those people ever again.
That's right. All right. Well, as we like to say around here, uh, all the power to all the people. We, the people, break our chains together. Solidarity forever, y'all.
Solidarity forever.